Hello, and my name is Reverend Patrick Woodbeck, and I welcome you to the Big Red Church, Gordon King Memorial United Church here in Winnipeg, Manitoba. Throughout this season of Advent, we will be sharing reflections on each of the weeks of Advent, starting with myself with this week, which is Hope. Next week, you'll be hearing a reflection from Reverend Alison Mickelan. The following week, the third week of Advent, you will hear a reflection from Reverend Phil Wilson, and on the last week of Advent, the last Sunday of Advent, you'll hear a reflection from Reverend Amadeus Pyralis. And so today we're speaking about hope, as the first Sunday of Advent is the Sunday of hope, and quite often in our modern world, hope almost carries with it a negative connotation. We say things like, "Oh, I hope I can make it," or "I hope that we will be there," or "I hope to do that." And it's almost as if we're saying, "I'm not sure I'm going to be able to, I'm not sure I'm going to be able to make it, I'm not sure I'm going to be able to do that, I'm not sure I'm going to be there." That wasn't the idea of hope for the people in the ancient world. People in the ancient world believed that hope was something that was important to them, something that they held tight to in the midst of all that was happening in their world. And I think that that's the hope that we need for today. Our theme for Advent is How a Weary World Rejoices. I think it's a very timely theme given what's happening in the world with everything that we're experiencing and all that's happening. The reading today is from the Gospel of Mark. Now, Mark is not usually the Gospel that we go to when we're talking about preparing for the birth of Jesus, preparing for the coming of Christ, preparing for the coming of Emmanuel, God with us. And yet, I think that this reading for today speaks very deeply to us in the midst of our world. And it's a reading from Mark chapter 21. "But in those days after suffering, the sun will be darkened, and the moon will not give its light, and the stars will be falling from heaven, and the powers in the heavens will be shaken. Then they will see the Son of Man coming in clouds with great power and glory. Then he will send out angels and gather his elect from the four winds, from the ends of the earth to the ends of the heaven. From the fig tree learn its lesson. As soon as its branches become tender and puts forth its leaves, you know that summer is near. So also when you see these things taking place, you know that he is near at the very gates. Truly I tell you, this generation will not pass away until all these things have taken place. Heaven and earth will not pass away, but my words will not pass away. But about the day or hour no one knows, neither the angels in heaven nor the Son, but only the Father. Beware, keep alert, for you do not know when the time will come. It's like a man going on a journey, when he leaves home and puts his slaves in charge, each with his work, and commands the doorkeeper to be on the watch. Therefore keep awake, for you do not know when the master of the house will come, in the evening, or at midnight, or at the cockcrow, or at dawn, or else he may find you asleep when he comes suddenly. And what I say to you, I say to all, keep awake." So Mark is writing to a very specific community in the ancient world. He's writing to a group of people who were intimately aware of what happened when the Roman military machine put down the insurrection, the rebellion in Jerusalem, not only destroying the temple, but destroying Jerusalem and scattering the people across the countryside. And this reading, known as the Little Apocalypse from Mark, speaks to this future time that is unknown, this future time that is unseen, this future time that will be coming. But it speaks to the people of that time of the fact that the Romans and the Roman military machine and the Roman destruction of Jerusalem will not have the last word. it speaks to this idea that there is something more. There is something beyond what they have experienced that is coming, but yet unseen. And in that, the people found hope. They understood that hope existed in their faith with God. Hope existed in their understanding of God's direction of the world. Hope existed in their understanding of God guiding their lives. And so for them, hope was a reality. Hope was a reality of their lives as it was. It wasn't some far off imaginary thing that they couldn't grasp. Hope was that which undergirded, which was the bedrock of their faith. And in that, hope became a reality for them. And I think that in many ways, we need that same reality. In the world today, we need a hope that is the bedrock of our lives in order to consider moving forward in the midst of everything that is happening. We need a hope of something beyond our world today. Something beyond all of the violence and all of the hatred and all of the war that is occurring in the world today. So why does this reading come on the first Sunday of Advent in this year? Yes, it speaks to the something in the future. It speaks to that future that is unseen. And the reality is that as Christians, in this time of preparation, we prepare for the coming of Christ, the coming of God with us, the coming of love incarnate. But the reality is that we are also aware as Christians that in just a few short months, we will be entering Lent and we will be taking that journey to the cross. That what we are preparing for now in this season of Advent leads into our journey of Lent to the cross. And it leads into the understanding that even after death, in God, there is something more. And so yes, we are journeying towards Bethlehem. We are journeying towards the birth of love incarnate in the world. But we are also looking forward to a future that is yet unseen. A future that is directed by God. And in that, we find hope. For Christ is born not only at the end of Advent, but Christ is born each and every day as we bring forth the gifts of God to the world. And in that, we find hope for the world. Not just a hope of, something that might possibly come, but an understanding that with God and in God, there is always more. There is always something coming. It might be unseen. We might not understand it, but to trust that God has the last word. In that, we might just find hope today in our world, hope tomorrow in our world, and hope down the road. So on this first Sunday, or on this first week of Advent, on this week when we talk about hope, I wish for all of you a hope that is based in a trust in God, a hope that is based in the understanding that God guides our lives forward, and a hope that is based in the coming of the Christ child, and knowing that there is always something more just beyond the horizon. So I wish you and yours hope this season.